We're here in Mount Washington at the Wolford House from 1947 by architect James DeLong, who was a protege of Frank Lloyd Wright's. This house is in the Usonian style, and you see a lot of the Wrightian influence, the cantilevers, the compression and release, the shiplap siding, a lot of geometric references to Frank Lloyd Wright's architecture.
And if you didn't know it was by James DeLong, you would tour it, and a lot of people would actually think it's Frank Lloyd Wright's work.
Absolutely. Let's check it out. This is kind of fun. This is actually the plaque commemorating the registration of this home as Historic Cultural Monument number 614 in the city of LA, Cultural Heritage Commission. Always enjoy seeing that. And you see the shiplap.
So we're at the entry, but then as you come in through that path of travel, you've got a little bit of a cantilever here, but the way that the landscaping is designed, it really softens things up, and it's a nice proportion to everything.
True, and I'm feeling that compression and release even on the outside. And then when I look at this hardscape, this brickwork starts to point to the massing and orthogonal geometries that we see in the fireplace, kitchen, hearth, and chimney system inside. And so this is where DeLong was talking in the language of Frank Lloyd Wright, the Usonian language of Frank Lloyd Wright, blurring the line between inside and outside.
Yeah, actually you're absolutely right, because you know what I just noticed as you were saying that, is that this layout is exactly the way it is on the chimney, just upside down.
That's
so
true.
You'll see that the bottom edge there will look exactly like this.
Yep. So here's this brickwork we were just talking about. Like you said, out there it was horizontal, here it's vertical. And there's this movement of forms in and out, this planar stuff happening.
And this detail on the edge is so beautiful with just a simple move there.
I love it. And you start to feel the compression and release, like here we've got these beautiful built-ins that are original. And I mean, this is barely 6'8" or something. And then and this runs throughout the house. The walkways are all lowered, and then as you get into the main space of the house, it all pops up to 8 feet.
Yeah, and so one of the things I was pointing out on the outside is the reflected ceiling plan would be quite remarkable to look at, because there's so much going on with the mitered wood, the light boxes. This mitered wood actually continues into the exterior. Brian, if you look at this, like looking down that way, all the way to that corner. And so that's what helps with the indoor-outdoor, blurring those lines.
So we need to do some research. I'd love to know who invented this butt-glazed corner condition. We often think about it in relation to Ray Cappy's work, but obviously he was later, but learned from guys like Frank Lloyd Wright and DeLong and Schindler and Neutra. But here's a perfectly executed butt-glazed corner condition from 1947.
Yeah, and if you continue looking at the shiplap on the side here, it doesn't just end like a normal house would probably do so. They actually took the time to miter it back down, and so you're grounded to some degree.
That's a really good point. This would feel much different if it were just 4 horizontal shiplap redwood boards. Turning it down does kind of point down into the earth. And the earthiness of this architecture, that's one of the key elements of the Usonian kind of idea. There was a horizontality, a connection to nature, a groundedness, and an organic sensibility that is one of those gestures.
Yeah, but the interesting part about that is that it was built for the middleman, right? Is that the middle-aged Warner,
right?
In terms of affordability, but they were trying to incorporate these details into these Usonian buildings that were for the middle class, essentially.
Yeah, or even almost lower class. This was meant to be architecture for everybody. This was meant to be low-cost modernism for the masses.
And don't answer this, but has it ever been successful?
It's a rhetorical question. But it inspires architects to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a feeling this might be a light fixture. It is. So.
Oh yeah, that's a really cool detail.
You're going to see that on the front of the house.
Chris pointed this out, that there's this upside down pyramid light fixture here, and there's a right side up pyramid fountain out in the landscape. So again, there's that dialogue between inside and outside. A lot of those subliminal things that, had Chris not pointed that out, I wouldn't have even seen it.
Yeah, and you just pointed this out to me, and I didn't really catch it at first, but the fact that that's a fireplace on one side and it's the cooktop on the other is just such a great use of space.
Well, it's also kind of modern primitivism. It's like, this is what we would have been doing thousands of years ago, cooking on like the open fire in the cave kind of. This has that feel to it. Really tastefully renovated kitchen, Corian countertops, flat front cabinets, knife hinges, push cabinet doors. Super simple and straightforward, but Miele appliances and stainless steel sink. This isn't a museum piece. This is like a living, breathing piece of architecture, and the previous owners and current owner have had the good sense to treat with respect. You can modernize and bring things into the new millennium without, it doesn't have to be a Formica countertop from 1947.
Yeah, and if you look, the lighting in here matches the same length as the window, but look at all the detail on this window.
Love that woodwork.
So the house is small, but because of the way it's designed, we're probably going to keep saying that, the way that it's laid out, it's so efficient. You want to point out some of these details that are in here with the built-ins and what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, you've got this consistent compression and release, the covered walkway, the built-in light fixture, the shiplap redwood siding with the piano hinges that make this cabinet disappear. I've always called that like the Schindler and Neutra pull detail, but obviously, Wright and DeLong were doing it in 1947 as well. You see that in these cabinets, and I love this built-in furniture wall with the headboard, cabinets, place for books, got the desk.
What I was doing was I was looking for the piano hinges, as you mentioned, and whenever you see a piano hinge, there's something happening, and so you open that up and look how much storage is in here.
I love that, but from the outside, when you have it closed, I mean, you've got 3 drawers, but with that door closed, you've got a flat front that just makes it kind of disappear. I think this is a leather top to this working desk that looks out on this amazing canyon view, and actually downtown's right over there when we slide this window open, which provides a view into the other bedroom. So there's a connectedness, and all of these are just single panes of glass with a little finger pull that you slide open to get a breeze, or you connect or disconnect the rooms.
So I know you're about to get spiritual on us, but before you do that, a couple of things to point out on the exterior elevation. I love this concrete reveal down at the bottom. The shiplap is just pulled up about 6 inches. And then if you were drawing this elevation, the shiplap does this thing where it's constantly mitered and it does all these weavings. And if Luis could actually get that somehow, it's quite, I keep saying beautiful, but what's another word for beautiful?
Spiritual. I mean, really, this kind of architecture for us is kind of like a religious experience. I mean, it's a spiritual experience. That's what architecture is meant to be, is something that elevates the spirit. Contextually, we're out here in Mount Washington, where I was just thinking about Paramahansa Yogananda. I'm probably butchering his name, but the guru that founded the Self-Realization Fellowship we all know about in the Lake Shrine, which survived the Palisades fires. But the original Self-Realization location is out here in Mount Washington, and we were just looking at hawks. It's a beautiful, robin's egg blue sky day here in LA. We've got a view of downtown, and I'm having this goosebumps kind of religious, spiritual experience in this architecture, and that's basically why we live here.
Exactly. It's what we do all day, every day. So one thing to point out in terms of the difference between the bedroom and out here is on the bedroom, they had the door that swung open, but here you've got this nice, beautiful sliding wood door. I'm sure it's a little hard to open and close, but look how beautiful that is.
But there's nothing to this. This is 2x redwood, single pane glass, and it's on a wood track that you would wax, and that's it. There's no fancy Dornbrock hardware, or I forget what those big glides are, the German glides. I mean, this is like just a dado, I think you would call it, where it slides on that wood track. Super simple design and construction.
Right. And then in terms of just utilizing the space, you'd go from the kitchen, grab your coffee, have your coffee out here, or you'd be out here, and great conversations. Here, let's point out this waterfall feature that Chris pointed out.
Yeah, I mean, I love the sound of the running water, which draws you outside from the dining area, kitchen, and living room. And as Chris was saying, you've got that inverted pyramid light fixture inside in a direct line to this right side up sculptural pyramid in the water feature.
I think we should go to the guest house next and talk about that. It's not by James DeLong.
It's by the current owner.
Oh, wow, okay. Let's go take a look.
So this main house is actually just a little over 1,000 square feet. It's a 2-bedroom, it's a 2-bath, and we've got the converted garage technically permitted as an ADU. There's some people who don't know what that is. It's an accessory dwelling unit. So this is permitted as a separate residence, and the conversion was done really well by Zara Schofield, the current owner. So Zara Scoville, the current owner, is an incredible designer. Like, I'm looking at this garage and I can't tell what's original and what's not. Like, you got the shiplap redwood siding, this light box, which matches the light box at the entry from 1947. We come inside and you've got this datum and light valance that runs around the perimeter, not unlike inside. You've got the Corian countertop on the kitchen with the stainless steel sink, stainless appliances, the shiplap redwood indoors, and a lot of consistent details that have a dialogue between the two houses.
I think you covered a lot, but my thing here is that if you're washing the dishes, you've got a nice view of the original structure there, and I think that's pretty cool.
With the hills and downtown beyond.
Yeah.
But I love the simplicity of this space, that, you know, it's polished concrete, it's not modeled and built up and waxed. It's just, you know, you grind this stuff down, it behaves like terrazzo. You don't even have to put a sealer on it.
Mm-hmm. And if you look at the surround, she's got the indirect lighting as well that goes up in what's doing on the original house as well.
So you've got a separate bedroom area, separate entrance, and this bathroom detail here, which mirrors that kitchen detail that we were talking about, with the sliding shiplap redwood door. I love the fact that she picked up all that language and recreated it here in the ADU.
Absolutely. So Brian and I are architecture brokers, meaning we help people buy and sell architecture, and this house is for sale.
$2,658,000. You've got a 2-bedroom, 1-bath main house, a little over 1,000 square feet, a 1-bedroom, 1-bath ADU, accessory dwelling unit. Together, it's 1,500 square feet, and we love architecture, we love real estate, we marry the two in our profession, and we will welcome the opportunity to show you this property and represent you in the sale.
And as Brian says, hit us up in the DMs.
That's right.